YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Big Will Allen Creative, and Happy New Year's. We're back, first video of 2023, and this may be a interesting one, you know, to say the least. Now, if you've seen the title of this video, I'm just going to let you know, if you're here hoping that I'm about to bash the FX30 or talk about how horrible it is or anything of that sense, this is not that video, so you might want to click off. And if you're not here for that reason, then consider subscribing, you know, commenting, and hitting that post notification bell, because we're going to drop content all year that's going to be bangers. Now, I had the FX30. I love the FX30. It was my dream camera. It was an amazing camera. Video-wise, just phenomenal. It did everything that I wanted it to do. It just didn't do everything I needed it to do. Hence why I ended up trading it. Now, let me be clear in saying that I started a business at the end of last year, a media company. So therefore, with my company, I do video, which I love, and the FX30 is perfect for, but I also have a photography side of that business. So at first I wasn't doing photography, but I started to get into it more. Therefore, I needed a photography camera as well. The FX30 does take pictures, but as everyone knows, it is not well suited for any real photography needs. And after doing a lot of thinking and consulting, I came upon the best trade and the best deal for me, the best thing that would help my business. Now, in starting my business, I didn't have the money to, you know, buy a bunch of camera bodies and have every little piece that I need right now. And, you know, anyone who has started this business or started this journey, you know, they can probably attest it takes a little while to build up and get to it. So therefore, I really only have the money at the moment for one body. And even my income for this business really only suits me to have one body. My goal and my rule is if the jobs don't triple, in a sense of, you know, the cost of something, then I can't afford it. And that's how I'm going to keep myself from going under and keep myself building and keep being able to put back into the business. Now, with that being said, I decided to trade for an A7 IV. Now, this trade in no way means that I feel the A7 IV is any better than the FX30 or the FX30 is any worse than the A7 IV. It's just the A7 IV was the best way for me to get the needs that I felt like I needed and the things that I liked about the FX30 in a hybrid body that also does photography decently well. I thought about the A7S3, but I didn't need all that. Like, the 4K 120 is what the A7S3 does and what the FX30 did, but I don't really use that. And now 4K 60 I do use from time to time, and the A7 IV has that. And yes, it crops in, but you know, I'm coming from a crop sensor camera, so that really doesn't bother me all that much, and I could deal with it. Plus, anyone who loves crop sensors or comes from crop sensors, the one thing we probably can all agree on is we like having that extra reach. So therefore, I just thought for me the best deal was to get an A7 IV. And I found a guy, luckily enough, that was willing to trade heads up, body for body. He had an FX3, and I'm not sure if he had any other ones, but he wanted to match the FX30 with the FX3, so he was willing to trade me his A7 IV for my FX30. No money in it, just body for body. You know, I got lucky enough to be able to get the deal I wanted and only had to drive, you know, a little bit to get it, which was kind of the deal. Now, what I will say is there are some things about the FX30 I do miss. The layout and configuration of it, I just gotten so used to it that like it's almost like I could do it with my eyes closed. So, you know, it's taken me a while to get adjusted. Thankfully, the A7 IV has good ergonomics in my opinion and plenty of customization options. I do miss Sony EI because that was really fundamental in me learning how to really shoot an S-Log and color grade and so forth and so forth. So I do miss that part of it, and I also miss the simplicity of the FX30 in the sense of everything was just kind of laid out for you, or you can map it out the way you want it to. So it's really, you're just shooting. So you're really thinking about what you're shooting and the plan for the day. And you're not really thinking about your camera or this, that, or the third. And I'd gotten so used to that, you know, the video part of the A7 IV is almost the same, and it's the same way. It's just the photography side I got to get used to and reacquainted with again, in the sense of constantly adjusting things for pictures and this, that, or the third. But that's not really an issue. It's just, you know, something you got to get used to after doing something a certain way for a while. Now, with that being said, there are some things about the A7 IV I love. Like the fact that it has that crop mode, I love. This A7 IV has a hidden value I was just talking about my boy with. And it's kind of one of the things that drew me to it, because with it having that mode to be able to crop in and get extra distance or extra focal length and reach with your lenses, no one really talks about that hidden value that the A7 IV provides, in the sense of anytime you buy a full frame lens for this camera, you're essentially buying two lenses. You know, I bought the 20mm and ended up getting a 30mm G lens. Now I'm pretty sure, and somebody may know if I'm correct or not, that the aperture changes with that, but that's all I'm really sure of as far as that portion or that part of it. You know, say you buy something like the 24 to 70 G Master lens, like you're essentially buying two different G Master lenses. The one you're buying in whatever the crop factor would be. So you know what I mean? So it's just like no one really talks about that value when it comes to this camera. The button layout on this camera is phenomenal. I like how I could just switch back and forth between video and pictures. Like, you know, I really missed the FX30 button layout, but it got traded in for a button layout that I, you know, love probably second to that layout. Now, once my business grows more and we really get going, probably going to end up getting another FX30 as like my B cam or to work with, because I really was getting into using it and the functions of, you know, the cinema functions of the lens, because I'm really starting to, not also am I doing my, you know, business work, but I really am getting into filmmaking, and I want to start getting into short films and so forth. And yes, I can still do that with the A7 IV and other cameras, but it was just something, I don't know, the FX30, once I really got S-Log down and started color grading and putting on different types of effects and emulations, it really just, I don't know, it was a certain look that I was getting that I started to fall in love with it before I had to trade it. And I'm trying to figure that out with the A7 IV, but if not, you know, like I said, down the road, we might just have to go ahead and get the FX30 back, or maybe if we really fall in love with the full frame, you know, go ahead and just skip the FX30 and get the FX3 and go from there. Now, things that I feel like I have gained from getting the A7 IV, more reach in low light. Now, obviously, we know full frame, low light, better than crop sensors, but the FX30 was really unique when it came to crop sensor cameras, in the sense that it did really well in low light. It did better than probably most other crop sensor cameras and some full frame cameras that I know of in low light. So it wasn't really like that was a reason for me trading, but it was a trade-off in the sense that I gained even more ability to reach further in low light situations. That obviously the abilities to take pictures, and the ability to be able to use full frame lenses, particularly the G and G Master lenses, without the crop factor. This 20mm lens is just phenomenal, and this lens will stay in my arsenal. I'm glad I got it. Those are just a few of the things, a few of the reasons. There's probably more. I could be here for probably a good hour talking about this if I needed to be, but who wants to watch that, right? Now, the question, if you already have like a A7iv or some other crop sensor camera, should you upgrade to the FX30 or skip the FX30 and go to like the A7 IV, A7S3? That is a subjective question because it really just comes down to your needs. And I say that because the FX30 is my dream camera, and I got my dream camera, and it ended up not being the camera that I needed at the time, so I ended up having to get rid of it. So that's why I say it's really subjective, and it really just comes down to your needs. Now, if it's in your needs and you don't need photo ability, you just need filmmaking ability, then why not? It's probably, in my opinion, the best value for camera in 2022, and one of the best values for camera that you can get right now. Now, if you don't have a camera at all and you're looking to get a camera, I would say no, because at the end of the day, buying expensive equipment isn't going to make you a good videographer, or you're not going to make good videos right off the bat. So I would say get something like the ZV-E10, which is a phenomenal and very underrated camera, and get that and just learn your craft, and then down the road upgrade. Invest in glass. Those are my tips. But yeah, so that's really the reason why I now have an A7 IV. The FX30 is gone. So from now on, we're going to really get to deep diving, get the sand and tires kicking on this channel, and we're going to watch this thing take off in 2023. It's your boy Big Will Island Creative. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, let's talk about it. What are you doing? Come on. Let's talk, bruh. Hey.